Some people have expressed concern that higher teachings, such as Dzogchen, are not formally available within the FW. I wonder whether Bhante has got them to give, and if so, why he does not share them with us. This is, of course, impossibly literalistic, but could you comment on the so-called higher teachings and their place in the practice of the movement? Yeah? I think there is such a thing as spiritual snobism. I really saw this in Kalimpong among the Tibetans, long before I came back to the West. And Dharata Rinpoche used to joke about it even. Yeah? Because if you hear that a Lama's got some very rare esoteric teaching, which is higher than any other teaching that you've got, you rush along to him to try to get this higher teaching. And if you're not very careful, you start thinking, you've got this higher teaching, others haven't got it, or you're the only one in your town that's got it, or in your group. And this is just the opposite of a spiritual attitude. And I'm afraid in the West, in both Europe and America, this attitude has sort of caught on. But I think it's self-defeating, because lamas of different kinds are given these so-called higher teachings to so many people. They've become so common that I think, well, it's like, if you wear a dress that, nobody else has got, but then you're quite proud so long as you think, well, you're the only one who's got that, it's exclusive to you. Well, then you find that, well, everybody else maybe on the social occasion is wearing just that same dress. Well, it's very different, isn't it? Yeah. So it's rather like that. Yeah.
So the most esoteric teaching becomes the primacy of going for refuge.
Yes, one could, yes, indeed. The highest, the basic, the first and the last, yes. Everything included in that. But I do think that the Tibetans in particular have done things which really are counterproductive. They should really have kept if they really felt that there were higher teachings, they should really have followed tradition and kept them for just a select few. But when they're being given wholesale, as it were, well, it becomes almost meaningless. I know they have their reasons and justify it. I wouldn't really agree with those reasons on the basis of their own tradition. Because if you read the Hevajra Tantra, it says, well, if you have a copy of the picture of Hevajra, you keep it under your arm when you're travelling so that no one sees it, well, presumably rolled up. Don't show it to any uninitiated person. That was the original tradition. And if you don't keep up your samayas, your commitments for different practices, you go to hell for hundreds of kalpas. I think probably we're going to end up with a lot of Western followers of Tibetan Buddhism feeling extremely guilty because they're not keeping up their commitments.
I know one already.
So I think when we encounter people from other groups, especially perhaps Tibetan groups, we should discourage this whole attitude of there being higher teachings. And say, well, look, what difference does it make? What difference does it make to your life? That's the real criterion. Is the person a better person? Are they more ethical? Are they more compassionate? That's the real criterion.
Also, those higher teachings are higher teachings only in the context of following on the so-called lower teachings. And if they're presented by themselves, then
yes,
they're not higher teachings.
Right, yeah. Yes, one could argue that. Because, Dzogchen has caught on a bit in British Buddhist circles. But if one looks at the actual material, it seems really to boil down to a quite simple practice of mindfulness. Which is good that mindfulness is emphasized. But it does seem a bit odd to refer to it as a sort of higher teaching. But I have come more or less to the conclusion more recently that a lot of the Anuttara Yoga Tantra material is really not very Buddhistic. That it is almost unassimilated Hinduism. Also, I mean, this whole idea of classifying material in this way can be questioned. That you not only have the three yanas, but within the Vajrayana you have the four tantras, and these are graded in the same way. And it seems to me that the distribution of material into a lower or a higher tantra is, if one takes it literally, really quite arbitrary.
Presumably that's because the unifying principle's been lost.
Yes.
It becomes a
Yes.
substitute for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for instance, in the highest yoga tantra, in the Anu yoga, you get practices which seem to me to be practices of Indian Hatha yoga. So it's difficult to see how they can be considered as really highest. Yeah? Maybe more difficult for one reason or another, but that's another matter. So I think we have to be a bit critical in our attitude here.